Hello, welcome to episode 443 of Prog, and today it's Stranded by Roxy Music. This was suggested by Diderot, because if you follow me on the social media, on the Twitters and the Facebook, I put out a call, and Diderot indeed answered. This is the third album by Roxy Music, released 1st of November 1973. All those years ago, who could imagine it? And big upset. Eno's gone. He's out. Whew. He's got the old Spanish archer, the elbow. He's gone. He's gone off to do his own thing. And instead we have Eddie the Wanker Jobson taking his place. Now I'm going to have to explain that. Back in the day, when I used to go record collecting, I think it may have been a Roxy Music album, and it was one with a gatefold sleeve, and I opened it, and there was Eddie Jobson's picture there, and somebody had written in a marker, in one of those magic marker, an arrow to Eddie Jobson's head and put the Wanker. So it's Eddie the Wanker Jobson. He got stuck. So whoever did that to that album, you've ruined it for everybody. But I digress. We are talking about the third album. And yeah, there's a shift. There is an immediate shift to more straightforward grounds with this. The experimental synthesizer stuff, it's gone. That delightful, kind of proggy edge that the previous albums had, it's gone. That's probably Eno's influence. And now Ferry is steering the ship. He is, Captain Ferry. Just imagine if he had a ferry. It'd be Captain Ferry with a ferry. I really ought to script these things. So yeah, it opens with Street Life, which was the big single. Street Life, Street Life. Very good. And it's a single, and it's the band distilling everything that is Roxy Music into a 3-minute pop single. You take your Virginia Plains and your whatnots, and they did it. They squeezed it down into this, it's almost perfect pop song. And there's some great footage of them on Beat Club and whatnot doing said song. So go check out the video afterwards. Not now, because I'm talking. I want you to hear my lovely voice. Then this is followed by Just Like You, and this is a bit this is one of my issues with Roxy Music after their first two albums, is they do tend to have kind of like, you have like rocky song, you have a rocky pop song, and you have the songs that have like Phil Manzanera's influence, and then you have these kind of ballady, piano led things, Just Like You, and they all begin to not sound the same, but they're very familiar. You're on very familiar ground with them. But this is followed by the delightful Amazona, which is, again, Phil Manzanera's hands, his grubby little mitts are all over it. And it's all over the place. And that's what I like about it, is, guitars and... it is a flight of fantasy. And it's, it's a really, really interesting... It's the experimental side, it's that them not doing straight ahead rock songs. So I really like that track. Again, I'm a big fan of Phil Manzanera and think he's probably one of rock's underrated guitarists. And this is followed by Psalm, where it all gets a bit religious, but it's really good. I really like it. I like Psalm. It's a fascinating track. And it's 8 minutes long, which is like, it's the longest track on the album. Now 8 minutes, that's almost getting into prog territory, isn't it? I don't know. Now we follow that by flipping over the disc. Imagine it's a record. This is just a mini vinyl. I've had these for years. Great. Bob Ludwig did the remaster on this, and they sound pretty sharp. Serenade, again, it's standard Ferry stuff, doing his thing, calling out to the ladies, you know what he's like, ladies boy. And it's again, it's nice. And then we get to Song for Europe, which I have always had an issue with. It comes across to me as a dirge. It's just like just find it really hard to get through. And then I think there's bits of it in German as well. And I just think it just doesn't sit well on the album. It just seems so out of place. Mind you, I mean, Psalm is a bit like that, but out of place in a good way. This is out of place. It just, I don't know, it doesn't fit. I know a lot of people like it. It's not a favourite of mine. But the reason this album is held so highly in my regard are the last two tracks, Mother of Pearl, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a mini drama condensed into just shy of 7 minutes. There's Manzanera's guitars all over it, down, 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 down. It really rocks out, and Ferry's going for it. And then when it goes into the more subtle half of the song, you've got some really delightful delay guitar from Manzanera. And this the guitars that I really enjoy on here. Because it bounces ding 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 from one ear to the other. It's those little production touches that I like, and I think Mother of Pearl is probably one of my favourite Roxy tracks. It's up there because again it tells a story. It's very cinematic, and Ferry is doing his Ferry impression, and there's enough room for all the guitars, and it's just a really exciting track. And then this leads into like the opposite. It's like it's like a flip side. You have this big brash, and then Sunset's kind of more muted, and it's piano driven, and it's kind of maudlin and sad, and the album ends with a whimper rather than a bang. And yeah, I mean, it's not the perfect album. There are some bits here that I find a bit, I much prefer Country Life in terms of for me, Song for You, it really drags the album down, and Serenade and Just Like You, because they're very similar. They feel to me very similar in that oeuvre. Oh, I'm throwing big words out today. I'm slamming them words down. It just feels a little bit samey. I like the more edgy, experimental side of Roxy. Of course, as their career goes on, that edge is taken off. I mean, and in this lineup, it's Manzanera that brings that kind of, I remember reading an interview with him. I don't know if it was this album, or it may have been Country Life, where he said how he used to turn up early or stay late so he could mix all his guitars, push all his guitars higher in the mix, because Ferry used to mix him down. I don't know how true that is. Again, I read this interview years ago, and it just always stuck in my mind of Manzanera just running back. It's a bit like Mike Rutherford and the Tony Banks thing. I think he said a similar thing. but yeah, I mean, it's 41 minutes and 6 seconds of glam rock pop art stuff. It's very high quality pop rock music. Again, iconic sleeve featuring Marilyn Cole, who was Playmate of the Year, and of course one of Ferry's girlfriends. I think that was the deal. I think he had to he had to be involved with every model on the cover. I don't know how true that is, but it feels like that. But yeah, a very interesting album. And again, I think Roxy Music are tend to known purely for their hits and for their pop credentials. And when you hear stuff like Mother of Pearl and Amazona, it takes them to a different world, and that's the world I'm trying to get you to explore. So anyway, in terms of rating, I'm going to give this 4 Mother of Pearls out of 5. Yes, right, 4 Mother of Pearls out of 5. For indeed, my name is Darren Locke, and I have been talking about Roxy Music's Stranded album from 1973. And thank you for Diderot for suggesting it. Sometimes I just don't know what to talk about, and so I throw it out there. Isn't that good? Don't leave comments in the during the social media thing. When I ask you, that's when I like a suggestion, and that's it. Now that's it. There's only one more thing to say, and that is my name's Darren Rock, and I think I've said that already. I'm repeating myself. I'm not with it today. I'm really not with it. Yeah, Prog on.